So there's been an interesting and historic story to come out of South Korea, excuse me, not North Korea, South Korea, um, and that would be that South Korea's parliament endorses landmark legislation outlawing dog meat industry. This is from NPR, um, or no, I guess it says by the Associated Press on the NPR's website, I guess, and then published on January 9th. But Seoul, South Korea. South Korea's parliament on Tuesday endorsed landmark legislation outlawing the country's dwindling dog meat industry, as public calls for the ban. As public calls for the ban have grown sharply amid animal rights campaigns and worries about the country's international image. Dog meat consumption, a century-long practice on the Korean peninsula, is neither explicitly banned nor legalized in South Korea. Recent surveys show most people want its ban, and a majority of South Koreans don't eat dog meat any longer. But the surveys also indicate 1 in every 3 South Koreans still oppose the ban, even though they don't eat dog meat. On Tuesday, the National Assembly passed the bill by a 208-0 vote Tuesday. The bill would make the slaughtering, breeding, trade, and sales of dog meat for human consumption illegal from 2027 and punish such acts with 2 to 3 years in prison. But it doesn't stipulate penalties for eating dog meat. Humane Society International called the legislation passage history in the making. So I admit I don't know. I know next to nothing about the practice of creating and selling dog meat in South Korea. One could imagine that there's a lot of cruel practices involved. I mean, think about all the cruel practices involved in factory farming in all kinds of countries. So I can't comment on that, but I find it fascinating because maybe this is going to get me into some hot water. I don't know, but the animals we eat and the animals we don't eat, like, there's not really a rationale behind it. It's just sort of, cultural beliefs that get like passed down. So like I'm an American, and like Americans don't eat dog meat. So like, and I think if you asked the average person on the street in America, they'd probably say, oh, it's immoral to eat dog meat. But in South Korea, they have a history of eating dog meat. And so it's like, well, if we're going to ban dog meat, and again, the animal rights activists, have been fighting for this for a while. Should we ban other kinds of meat? Like, I think it's a genuine question. Like, should we, in the future should the government be subsidizing, like, the kinds of foods that lead to a vegetarian or vegan diet? I don't know. I mean, I'm not vegetarian or vegan, to be clear. And I'm in like a moral conundrum. Like I'm not really comfortable with my meat eating, ethically speaking, but I've just been way too lazy to change my diet, which probably reflects negatively on me. But I don't see easy questions to, the ethics of eating meat. Honestly, I think there's a really good book by, I think, Hal Herzig. He's a anthrozoologist. He studies like human-animal relationships. It's called Some We Love, Some We Hate, Some We Eat. And it's about just our complicated relationship with animals. And he basically comes to the conclusion, yeah, like there's no way to be entirely consistent on this issue. I'm sympathetic to that. Although I'm also sympathetic to, like, a vegan. that will like just cut out all animal products and all meat, or a vegetarian who cuts out all meat products. Like at least that's consistent. That's consistent. Where like most meat eaters, you know, they don't eat dog, they don't eat cat, they don't eat. There's all kinds of things they don't eat. That like there's no reason they shouldn't eat this or that kind of meat. It's purely just like a cultural bias that they absorbed when they were like super young. And it's like, well, if you're gonna eat cow and chicken and if you're gonna eat beef and pork and chicken, if you're gonna go to a McDonald's and get a Big Mac, if you're gonna implicitly support factory farming, which we know is has atrocious practices, if you're gonna, if you're gonna do that, why are you like drawing the line at dog meat? Why are you being like, you shouldn't eat dog meat? That's immoral. Blah 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 blah. Like if you start going down, I think that it is immoral to eat meat rabbit hole, then I think you need to be consistent and cut it all out. So yeah, it's weird to me, this news story. But if you know more about like the history and practices of selling dog meat in South Korea, feel free to say something in the comments down below. Like I said, I am very split-minded when it comes to the ethics of eating meat and a lot of animal rights issues. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about it.